This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Q&A live from Northern Virginia. It's 9 o'clock in the morning over here. We have people from all over the world actually on the line already. First caller, half hour ago, was Kim from California, so I know it's a little early there, so we're going to take her call first. Hey Kim, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine, Dr. Bird. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I love all your video. You're the best.
Thanks.
I have two questions for you. My first question, I don't know why I'm feeling this vibrating, buzzing sensation, like a tingling sensation over my body. Mostly part of my back and both of my legs, I can feel it. I know sometimes it's on and sometimes off, but mostly it's most of the time. And my second question, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetic. I follow your video, and I have been doing everything that that I've been told by you for the past 6 months, and I lost like 30 pounds already. And I'm eating like one meal a day, like pretty much like I'm doing intermittent fasting most of the time.
Okay.
And my only concern is if I keep doing that, would that bring me to type 1 diabetic if I don't eat that much in a day?
Got it.
I know
Okay.
my body's running on keto. Thank you.
Okay, sure, Kim. Quick question, Kim. Do you have any excessive urination or excessive thirst?
Urination, yes, I do, like at night.
Okay.
And thirst, yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have any digestive pain, like in your stomach when you eat food or when you're not eating? Do you have any pain in your stomach?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. All right. So, Kim, when you have neurological symptoms and you're diabetic, I'm always thinking what happens, one of the side effects from diabetes and blood sugars is peripheral neuropathies, which basically are nerve pain in your feet and your hands. So I'm thinking automatically that you need to do a real simple solution to start putting back in the vitamin Bs, especially B12 and B1, but you want to get it in a different form. You want to get it in a fat-soluble form because mostly those vitamins are water-soluble. So there's a way to make them into a fat-soluble, which basically can penetrate the nerve lining, the myelin sheath in your nerves, and fix that neuropathy. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. However, when it's all over the body, there's another cause of tingling, and sometimes it's in the mouth, sometimes it's all over, and that is called hypercalcemia. That's too much calcium in the blood. That's one of the symptoms. So it's interesting that the symptoms of hypercalcemia are similar to the ones in diabetes for some reason. But calcium is used in the nervous system as a communication particle. So a lot of times when you have too much calcium, it locks up the communication, and you can have neurological communication problems. So hypercalcemia could come from a gland in your behind your thyroid called the parathyroid, just pumping out too much parathyroid hormone, and that's leaching calcium from the bone and raising up. And that's kind of rare, so I wouldn't go that route. But let's say, for example, you take this fat-soluble B1 and B12. There's a product that I do recommend. You can just do a search on it. It's called the Nerve Support Formula, and it has those factors in it, okay? And just try to find it and get some of that, okay? If that works, great. If it doesn't work, then go to the doctor and get a simple test, which is basically a blood calcium test. And you want to know if it's too high, if it's over 10. If it's over 10, then get your parathyroid checked. Okay, because if you have hypercalcemia, which is too much calcium, that could be causing the tingling. I always like to take these symptoms and pull the string to see what's in them, but the problem is we don't want to just go right for the most expensive and the most invasive treatment. We want to just first take the most common and then go from that, okay? So everything seems like it's working otherwise, so you're doing great. Just continue, and I think you're going to do fine. Okay, Kim? Thanks for calling. All right. Let's see. We have someone from Sagar from France. You're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my call. I've been following you for 2 months, and seeing your videos, I figure out that I have ovary body shape, and at the same time, I have almost all the symptoms that you have described for low cortisol, but I never get tested for that. But I got your adrenal and cortisol support and your massage tool. I also started ketogenic diet because I never been overweight, but my body was like a yo-yo going up and down, and which I didn't like. So now this helped me to maintain my body weight. So the problem that I'm having is like I'm getting sick all the time. I have chronic sinuses and I have chronic asthma, and I've been suffering for agoraphobia for 10 years. So I'm almost sick every 2 weeks. So I was wondering what can I do more in my diet and what can I do for my fitness procedure. I used to do a lot of HIIT workout between 20 minutes to 40 minutes, but it's been a while that I stopped it because I feel like I cannot. It's too much for my body.
Okay.
Thank you.
Quick question. How is the food in France lately? How is the cheese? Is it really, can you find healthy organic cheese over there?
Yeah, easily.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Because I get the quality of food in your country is so much different than the U.S. I have people that actually even move to Europe and they start losing weight just because the food is so high in nutrition. So I'm jealous, and someday I'm going to go there and check it out. But anyway, here's the thing that you need to do. Yeah, you do have the symptoms of low cortisol, but I always have to make this disclaimer. Like anything that I say in this show, check with your doctor first. I'm not making any claims. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to cure you. So it's just food for thought. It's information that you can do research with your doc, okay? All right, that being said, when you have asthma, one of the best remedies would be to support the adrenal and increase vitamin D. We want to go up with the D. Now, you do have symptoms of low cortisol, and if you do get that tested, make sure that I like saliva, but there's also a hair analysis as well, which is even better if you can find it. You have to do a search on how to do a hair analysis cortisol test. It's a new thing. I think it's in Canada, but I've done it. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, when you check cortisol, it runs on a circadian wave, and you have to check it every 4 hours because one blood test is not going to cut it because you could be low at certain parts of the day and high at other parts of the day. So it's very important to check every 4 hours to see if you're very low. But you have the symptoms of low cortisol. Unfortunately, I'm out of the remedy for that, which used to be called cortisol support formula. I will be getting that in about 6 weeks. And I'm changing the name to adrenal fatigue formula, just FYI. But in the meantime, here's what you can do. We want to bring cortisol up because when you have low cortisol, you can start getting all sorts of low immune. The immune system is controlled by the cortisol. Cortisol suppresses the immune system. So without cortisol, your immune system can really be weakened to the point where you can get sick easily and develop a lot of respiratory stuff, asthma, sinus. So in the meantime, you want to get a lot of sun. You want to get a lot of vitamin D. Absolutely. You want to support the adrenal. Now, you also mentioned you did HIIT exercise, which is high intensity interval training, which is exactly the opposite of the exercise you want to do. You want to do long walks with lots of space, without your headphones, just looking at trees, birds, and clouds, and just get your attention going out every single day. You want to focus on your sleep. So you have I think you have the adrenal night formula. Start taking that maybe 2 before bed so you can get more sleep. But vitamin D is the main thing you need to do because we need to bring up cortisol. Potassium is another key thing to actually support the adrenal. So you're going to have a lot of vegetables, things like that. And I think you're on the right track, but I think you just need a little booster from the adrenal and use that massage tool to work on the points over the adrenal, which are right on top of the kidney, which is underneath the rib cage. In the manual, I show you how to do it. You work the left and right side slowly and just work on that every single night before you go to bed. You can do the neck points, and those are the two most important ones. And you should improve the adrenal function. So that's what you need to do. All right? Talk to you soon. All right, Chad, you're from Texas. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dr. Berg. Yes, a couple questions for you. First issue, my wife has had, in her late teens, she had a traumatic event, and post that had adrenal fatigue, or they call it adrenal burnout. And she's had that ever since she was 19. And it manifests itself, in chronic fatigue, tired all the time, no energy, low adrenals. She's a health fanatic, and she's done research all over the place, taking all kinds of supplements for, thyroid, adrenals, things like that. Recently, we started doing hydro silver IV infusions for it, which seemed to help. But we found out, when they did blood work on her, they found out that her Epstein-Barr virus count, they said the normal count was below 100, and hers was 593.
Wow.
Running at 600. She did the silver infusions, and at the same time, she was on like a juicing thing with fruit and vegetables. And for a month, she did 12 of those. She came back, and her Epstein-Barr virus went higher to over 600. And they believe that the Epstein-Barr is the root of everything that we've been told is the root of everything that's going wrong with her, her adrenals. If they can get that down, then it's going to help her tremendously.
Yeah.
So they've got her on a what's it called, a Myers cocktail infusion now with vitamin C and a bunch of other things. She's currently in the process of that right now. So that's one issue that I wanted to ask you about. What can she do from your perspective to help with this, and is that her issue? The second issue for me, it's not really an issue, but it's a question. I love doing Olympic lifting. I love doing CrossFit. And, after seeing your videos for the last month and getting on a keto diet, I've seen tremendous benefits and changes in fat loss. And as far as the CrossFit workout, spacing it out, because I do recognize appreciate your view on recovery and being important in making gains. But my question is for a bodybuilding person like myself who likes building lean muscle and doing it very well, at the same time not gaining a lot of fat. Is there any kind of a dietary recommendation you would change? Like, if you are into bodybuilding, do you have to uptake your protein like everybody says? Do you have to take amino acids, creatine, all that? From your perspective, if I were going to do that healthfully, what would be the best way to do it?
Okay, great. Chad, just one quick question. When did your wife, originally when she had Epstein-Barr, did she have swollen glands in her neck?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's talk about that. I had Epstein-Barr as a kid. A lot of people have it. It can really create fatigue. The interesting thing about viruses is that you can't kill them because they're not really alive, and that's what's really so mysterious. They're this piece of genetic material wrapped in a sac that tend to invade the body somehow, and then they leach onto your own cells if they're weak, lowered resistance, susceptible, and they start to go into the machinery and hijack the copy machine of your cells, which is the RNA, and they start duplicating, replicating copies of themselves. And they invade the cell and they burst out, and it takes your immune system a lot to try to kill those things or put them back in remission, because you can't, once they're inside your body, the only thing you could do is keep them in remission, which means keep them inactive. Now, out of all the things, there's a lot of things you can do nutrition-wise, and it sounds like you're doing them, but there is something even more important than I've observed. If you think about it, when do viruses kind of come out of remission? They come out during stress. So the first thing I always evaluate and look at with people with viruses that come out of remission is, how is the stress level? Environmental stress. Are there people around you that are stressing you out, things like that? That is the senior most important thing, and whatever you can do to eliminate that will be huge. Changing your environment, going to a place where it's less stressful, huge. Getting a lot of vitamin D, sun, huge for viruses. That's why this is why I believe during the fall, kind of let people get the flu, because of the vitamin D levels drop, because you're no longer in the sun. So that's one thing. Okay, so the other thing that I would do, and I'm not going to make any claims with this, but this worked for me. It's almost like that viral load is manifesting not necessarily an infection, but it's manifesting a symptom of that infection, which sounds to me like chronic fatigue. So, and that's what happens with viruses. You could have a virus early on in your life, and all of a sudden later in life, start getting one of the symptoms that you had back then kind of reactivated. So, from my understanding, the Epstein-Barr tends to hide out in the tonsil area, and that's kind of where it originated, definitely in me. So what I would do, Chad, for your wife is I would get that massage tool that I have. Now, why are you going to get the massage tool? Because especially if people had chronic sore throats or swollen glands, if you can take that and work on the points on the back of the neck, the upper neck, on a couch and lay back, and I wish I had it around here, but you can press into the back of your neck. And yeah, Terry, why don't you see if you can get my massage tool? I want to show you this. All I'm going to say is try it out, and you'll see it'll work. But it'll kind of make the person very energetic. Thank you. This is what it looks like. It looks like a treatment device. But you take this wide part and you put it in the back here, in the back part of your neck, right here, right underneath the skull, and you lean back on the couch. Now it's going to press on 2 acupressure points that are opposing the tonsils. Do that for 2 minutes, then re-rate the energy. It goes up. I mean, I have so many people that have come to me with, they're kind of like in this funk or this fatigue, and they had chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr, and it just brings up, it almost like it helps the circulation in that part of the body where they had the virus, and the person just starts getting more energy. It's very simple. So that's one thing. I would definitely do that. And then I would also secondarily take the vitamin D, start supporting the adrenal gland, do the adrenals in the lower abdomen too, those points. So I think that would help you. But I do understand there's silver is one treatment for viruses. Also, trace minerals are important for putting viruses in remission. So that would be an important thing. And even calcium is another thing that would help putting viruses back in remission. Okay, so that's for your wife. Now, as far as for you, CrossFit, I totally like CrossFit. I mean, I love that type of workout. My body loves it. Just make sure you have the recovery. Now, as far as eating-wise, you want to stay on the ketosis diet, and you want to stay on intermittent fasting. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you start introducing more carbs, even fruits, grains, you spike insulin. Insulin lowers growth hormone, okay? Intermittent fasting increases growth hormone. Decreasing carbs increases growth hormone. So the ketogenic diet is the ultimate for growth hormone, which is all about muscle development, retaining muscle, preventing the loss of muscle. It's so funny, people say, well, if you're on a ketogenic diet, you're going to lose your muscle. Really? Or you're doing intermittent fasting, you're going to lose your muscle. Really? What about diabetics who have insulin problems or insulin resistance or people with high insulin? They always lose their muscles. So the ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting is the ultimate in preserving muscle strength and for bodybuilders. And then you have the bodybuilders that do high carbs and they do frequent meals and they bulk up, but it always catches up to them later and they start getting flabby and they lose the muscle that way. Okay? So I hope that helps, Chaz. Okay, so we have Key from Orlando, Florida. Go ahead. You're on the air. I pressed the wrong button. Okay.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi, how are you?
Dr. Berg. This is
Good,
sir. How are you?
Doing well too.
Oh, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to... Okay. Can you hear me now, Key?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I answered 2 people at once. Go ahead.
Yes. My question is regarding different things that can cause sinus issues, because what more in particular, I want to know with excessive crying with people that have like post-traumatic stress disorder, or they are grieving and they cry a lot, like, they have breakdowns and stuff. Physically, what does that do to their sinuses? Because I feel like my sinuses have broken down. I have an excessive buildup of phlegm. I produce a lot of phlegm, like I cough it up. And so my doctor has been working with me for a while with this. He said I have sinus infection. I also have fluid in my right ear. Like when I blow my nose, I hear rumbling in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
And he's given me, let me see, he's given me this nasal spray called flutocanos. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm sure you do. Yeah, and so I do that, and so I've tried steroids. They put me on steroids and everything. I actually have a lung X-ray, a chest X-ray today at 11:30, and I'm also referred to an ENT.
Okay. All right, Kay.
So
Let me give you some advice. Okay. Um, Post-traumatic stress. Obviously, you had this stress, probably loss, which then a natural reaction is to grieve. Everyone's going to go through a lot of stress, losses, and then what happens? You just want to make sure that in your house, you don't have reminders of, if it's a person, for example. I'll have people that will have a loss and they have all these pictures of the person, like all in their house. It's constantly just like reactivating that memory constantly, and people want to have pictures, but it tends to make them worse because they keep getting reminded. So whatever you can do to kind of rid the reminders right now, just so you can actually not get that triggering effect, would be good. Now, as far as nutrition goes, vitamin B1 is the best thing. I want you to start taking more nutritional yeast, like 2 tablespoons a day. I don't know how you're going to consume it. Maybe you just chew it and eat it, put it in almond butter and consume it, but that's what the first thing I want you to do. Keep the diet really, really, really clean. No sugars, no milk, okay? Because that can trigger that. Now, it sounds like you have some mucus going on, and it's in the eustachian tube, which is a connection with the back of the throat and the ear. So you need to do, I just released a video on postnasal drip, and the best remedy is oregano oil. Okay, so you want to get some of that, and they're little pearls, and you start taking those. I would also get a neti pot and search the garlic neti pot rinse. I think it's called sinus garlic rinse. It's a YouTube video I have out, did a long time ago, and you would basically take a neti pot, which is a little kind of a vapor type thing, and you would irrigate your sinuses, okay, with a solution, and get some of that little steam machine where you can actually put your head into it, and put little chunks of garlic, and I show you how to do that, and a little oil of that oregano. So some of that oregano can go up into the nagar, can go up into your sinuses. That's the best natural antimicrobial killer. And if you can do that, that will start to decrease some of the mucus and clear out the sinuses over time. Now, the other thing is you probably need to build up your gut. So you want to start taking a very good probiotic, which is essential, very, very important for that. Then for histamines, which is for the mucus, and it sounds like you have a lot of mucus, we want to break that up with a vitamin C. But here's the catch-22. This is the only time I'm going to recommend a synthetic vitamin C. Get calcium ascorbate, but make sure it's non-GMO with bioflavonoids, okay? Calcium ascorbate, non-GMO, with bioflavonoids. Take a couple grams of that stuff a day. That's going to break up the histamines. But don't, I'm not crazy about any taking anything to strip it out, and you kill off all the good guys as well. So go ahead and watch my video on the postnasal drip as well so you can get more information, okay? All right, Key, thanks for calling. All right, so then we have James. You're from, I think, a town by the name of Worcester. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Dr. Berg, how you doing?
Good.
Grateful member of, a grateful graduate of your health coaching program. I appreciate that and all the good work Roxana and Lana have done.
Great.
Couple of quick questions. 2 questions. One, dealing with a client right now. She just had her gallbladder out, and I actually started working with her after she had gotten this gallbladder out, but I know that's going to pose a couple of different obstacles as we go forward. So I was hoping you'd give me some suggestions with her, since the gallbladder formula might not work for her anymore. And I was hoping you'd give me some suggestions for working with her for the next few weeks.
Sure. Good. Okay, good. So let's talk about that, James. When someone has their gallbladder removed, there's two things. They still have the tube that goes from the liver to the small intestine. They just don't have the sac to hold the bile. Now, bile breaks down fat. Bile helps you emulsify fats, essential fatty acids, fat-soluble vitamins. So the person will need that fat, those nutrients from the fat to be extracted. Now, the significance of the gallbladder is the concentration of the bile by 20 times. So think about it. If you can concentrate your bile, you can have a very small amount and create a really good digestion and emulsification and breakdown of those fats. So without a gallbladder, you don't have the concentration, which means they're going to be bile deficient, which means they're going to be fat-soluble vitamin deficient. And think about all the benefits of fats. You have the fat-soluble vitamins, essential fatty acids, all the fats for the cellular membranes, all the healthy fats for anti-inflammatory, the fats for your brain. All those are really key. So you need full digestion of those fats, those fatty acids, because they're essential, which means the body needs them. So yes, she does need the gallbladder formula. She does. When you don't have a gallbladder, that means you need bile. So the gallbladder formula has purified bile salts. It has stuff to lubricate the bile. It has enzymes for the pancreas. It has stone root for potential stones. There's a lot of stuff in there. People love it. So you take it after the meal. So she would need some of that as just kind of to give her the bile that she doesn't have. The other thing I like to do when people don't have a gallbladder is really help them get the pancreas working a lot better. So I would teach her how to do the pancreatic acupressure points or the massage on the left side underneath the left rib cage, and with the tool, and have her work that out each day. And it really just gives the person more relief. You'll see they'll digest better, because now the pancreas has to take over and produce more enzymes to make up for the lost bile. All right. So now we have the next question. Let me just figure out how to use this. Tanya, you're from Alabama. Go ahead. You are on the air.
Hello, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call. I started ketogenic diet with the intention of losing about 40-50 pounds that I gained from my birth of my baby. However, I jump-started with intermittent fasting and keto, and with eggs in the morning and big salads and salmon in the evening, and ended up with severe diarrhea for 3-4 days. So I ended up going back to my original diet, and now I want to do it in a right way, and I want to slowly come back to ketogenic diet. And I also would like to know what kind of tests, if I would like to have pre-keto and post-keto diet for myself, that I have to go and take, like any vitamins or any vital tests that you recommend that I want to perform, just to see how well I'm doing with keto diet.
Okay.
And also one more question, Dr. Berg. Like when I was in keto diet, when I came back after 2 days, my throat has started paining a lot, kind of like tonsils pain or something. I didn't have any cold or anything, but it started when I was on keto diet for 2-3 days. And I made sure I was on keto by doing the keto strip test.
Did you also have diarrhea?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tanya. Let me answer that. I just noticed this thing over there on my producer. I see that, was it Double Gulp? Is that from 7-Eleven over there? Okay. Steve, we're gonna talk about that. Meet me in my office when we're done with the show, okay? All right. So, we got to get these guys on the right track. Okay, so Tanya, number one, we have the ketogenic diet. This is what I want to talk about. People think the ketogenic diet is unhealthy because they read from a dietitian or whatever or whoever online that the ketogenic diet is very dangerous to do long term. So it's only meant for certain people. which is ridiculous because if you think about it, oh, you'd rather run your body on sugar and glucose? That's healthy? I mean, think about even the top 6 reason people die is cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, fatty liver, kidney disease. A lot of that's related to high levels of insulin. So the ketogenic diet is all about lowering insulin. That's what it's about. It's the healthiest thing you can do long term. But of course, they'll throw things in there like, oh yeah, but it causes ketoacidosis, which is, it's very dangerous in diabetics. Yeah, but you're not a you're not a diabetic, or if you are, you have to be a type 1 to have ketoacidosis, which is a completely different animal over here. You don't need to even worry about that. That's when the acids go way, way too high. But that's very, very rare, and that's in diabetes. So that's a completely different animal. Your brain, your cells do much better on ketones. The muscles do better on ketones as a fuel source because it's just like you're using your own fat as fuel. You're using dietary fat as fuel. Now, it is true, your brain can also run on ketones or sugar, but why not run on ketones? I mean, think about if your brain needs glucose, it can make it from your protein that you eat. It can make it from the fat that you eat. Even in the fat in your body, it can convert that through the liver. It's called gluconeogenesis. So you don't have to worry about starving off your brain if you're doing ketogenic diet. Now, on that hand, let's talk about what's probably happening to you, which you're getting some symptoms from that, the throat, probably the keto flu. So the ketogenic diet uses different machinery, different cellular enzymes, which require more of certain nutrition. And that's why you want to tweak traditional ketogenic diet and have a lot of vegetables, a lot of green vegetables, so you can get all the vitamins. Potassium is another mineral that you really need a lot of. You need the B vitamins, and so that way you don't have to have these symptoms. So when you start to adapt and turn over into this ketogenic lifestyle, there's a couple things, and I put videos out on this. You want to make sure you have enough potassium, make sure you have the B vitamins, make sure you can handle the digestion of fat. Maybe you need some help with that from some bile salts. And those are the things that are, those are minor points versus, think about when you're running your body on glucose, you're also depleting calcium, B vitamins, potassium. There's a condition called insulin resistance where the insulin is dysfunctional and it will not allow the entry of amino acids, potassium, magnesium, and other nutrition. So insulin is the gatekeeper that allows nutrition to go in. So if you're running your body on glucose, you're going to be depleted with nutrition way more than you would be for the ketogenic diet. Okay? So as far as the diarrhea goes, I think probably what's happening, you're doing more fats, which is not a problem. That's going to trigger more bile release. And now you have a little more bile. And too much bile can cause diarrhea. So anyone with a diarrhea problem doesn't need any extra bile help. They don't need the gallbladder formula at all. So that's because they probably have too much bile. So with the diarrhea, you probably want to just cut down on some of the fats, and then you'll be fine. But the best remedy for diarrhea, if you ever have it, and this is blackberries with some kefir, blended in a blender, and you sip that. It seems to work. Okay? All right. Okay, so we have Dawn. You're from Ohio. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks
Hi.
for talking to me.
Sure.
I just have a question for my daughter. I personally did keto a couple years ago, had a great experience. I had issues with my hormones after I had both of my kids. My doctor tried to tell me I could do hormone therapy replacement in my early 30s, and I told her there's no way I'm paying for that for the rest of my life. So I tried keto because I had heard that it was a natural way to help regulate your hormones. Worked great. Around the time I noticed my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, was budding, and she was starting to get pubic hair. And I took her to her doctor. Her doctor sent me to a pediatric OB who did some bone scan x-rays of her wrist. They started doing it every 6 months 2 years ago. And they said that she was always within that 2-year range. If she ever hit past the 2-year range of her actual age, then we would have to talk about alternatives. Well, this past scan they did, she was over 2.5 years past her actual age, which she's actually 8 now.
Okay.
And they want her to do Lupron injections, which, well, they told me I could either do the injections or the implant. Either one, I told them I'm kind of very much so against that, just because the side effects that I looked at on Lupron, I mean, they're sketchy, but, I mean, some people, they have depression, they have suicidal tendencies in kids, and I don't even want to start that.
No.
So I'm trying to get an alternative ideas. I know the keto can work. It's just you can't find very much stuff on how to do it for kids.
Right. Okay. All right. I got it. So let's talk about that, Dawn. The first thing I would put her on is because it's really it's an estrogen androgen problem. It's usually when kids nowadays are developing larger breasts earlier, pubic hair, and they're developing faster simply because the environment, there's endocrine disruptors in the environment that mimic estrogen and that can kick in more androgens as well. Now, the reason probably why you're thinking ketogenic for her is because ketogenic lowers insulin, and when you lower insulin, you get less conversion to androgens. But there are some other things that you can do to lower androgens. And one is basically DIM. It's called DIM. And it's there's a product I have called Estrogen Balance with DIM. I would even, at an 8-year-old, I would just take half the capsule, put in some food, and give it to her once a day. And the reason for that is because it has a couple things in addition to DIM. It has cruciferous vegetables, which is what you need to clean out that excess. And then it also has something called stinging nettle root, which actually blocks an enzyme that is converting the estrogen into androgens and testosterone into DHT. So basically, stinging nettle root is a very, very a good herb. I would get it as a tea too and have her start consuming that. And then, so that's one thing I would do. I think the ketogenic diet would be perfect for her. But here's some things that you really want to look at, and anyone else listening to this, if you've checked out, just check back in right now because this is the most important thing. There's a lot of things happening with kids nowadays. There's a lot of people getting cancer more than usual, especially multiple myeloma. There's people getting all these interesting diseases like at a very alarming rate. And that's really coming from the environment. And it's coming from endocrine disruptors, which are chemicals in the environment. At the top of the list of chemicals, there's a chemical called glyphosate. And I'm not going to get into it too much in this, but it's basically the Roundup Ready. It's part of the GMO foods. Because people really don't understand what GMO is. They don't know what that means. GMO foods basically are foods that have been altered to resist a very specific herbicide called glyphosate, which is Roundup Ready. So when you consume GMO foods, you are getting residue of this herbicide, Roundup Ready, in large amounts. They say it's safe, but it's actually not. It's not safe at all. The whole world is being exposed to it at large amounts, and there's no long-term studies. I mean, there are a couple long-term studies, but they're not doing long-term studies. They're like doing studies for 3 months. That's not long enough. But in the animal studies, it shows there's some serious problems. There's even a class action suit of it increasing higher rates of multiple myeloma, which is a cancer in the lymph nodes. But the point I'm bringing up is that that's a real powerful endocrine disruptor that is a problem. And especially people doing ketogenic diets. Because let's say you're going to do a salad, right? And you're going to get salad dressing. Or let's say you're having a burger and you're putting mayonnaise on it. Well, did you ever read the ingredients on mayonnaise? The first ingredient is soy. That's GMO. That's where you're getting it. Or let's say you get natural chicken, right? If it's not organic, it's fed with GMO soy and corn. So all the animal products, all the dairy, unless it says organic, probably has GMO feeds that are feeding those animals. So you're getting it indirectly. That's what's really causing the problem. Not to mention the pesticides on the vegetables and the fruits and things like that. Salad dressings. Try to find a salad dressing without soy. It's almost impossible. Soy oil. That has glyphosate. So what you want to do is have a a GMO detoxification program, make sure you don't consume it. It's in no foods. Just do a search on all the foods that are GMO safe and definitely verified organic would be the top of the list, and start putting your daughter on that. That would be the most important thing. It's just amazing. I mean, once you start looking at it, it's like in so many foods, especially when you go out to restaurants, you don't even know what you're getting. Now, to actually detoxify that, one thing that is a good remedy is get some glutathione reduced, it's called. Glutathione reduced. Garlic is really good. Cruciferous is really good. But we want to start to get the liver's ability to detoxify these chemicals early on so we can clean her up. So, because the doctors aren't talking about why she has that problem in the first place, okay? All right. Hope that helped. Let me see here. All right. So, Jarrett, you're from Texas. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I've been on the ketogenic diet for about 4 months now,
Uh-huh.
and doing well. I mean, it seems like everything's going well. The one thing that I guess is just a minor bother is I do have keto sticks and use them, but I don't see like a positive result on it. You know, it doesn't show me that it's like a deep purple in ketosis sort of thing. It keeps saying not a lot of ketones present. And I'm keeping my carb grams under 50, you know, sometimes in the 40 range, that sort of thing. And so I'm wondering if is not seeing that result on the keto stick an issue, or is that something just not to worry about?
Good question. I'm going to create a video on that because there's 3 ways you can test it. You can check the breath, you can check the urine, you can check the blood. Just because it doesn't say you're not in ketosis doesn't mean you're not in ketosis. It could be that your body is burning up those ketones and not showing up in the urine. That's probably what's happening. The main indicator that I look at for success in a ketogenic diet is your stomach shrinking, because the one thing about running your body in ketones is you drop the insulin, which is feeding the gut. So the gut is the biggest indicator of whether your insulin is high or low. If you have a gut, you got high insulin. If it's low, you don't have high insulin. So as long as you can use that as an indicator, if your waist is shrinking, who cares if you have ketones in your urine? Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing you want to look at is that the quality of carbohydrates. Make sure that they're vegetable carbohydrates. You can always improve that, and you can even bring it down to 20 grams. But the biggest factor is the frequency of meals. So if you're at 3 meals a day, let's say you're at 6 meals a day, go to 3 meals a day, no snacks. If you're at 3 meals, go to 2 meals a day, see how you do. No snacks. It might take more fat to do that, but that'll help you a lot because every time you eat, you spike insulin. And some people, and I don't recommend this often, but some people have such a slow metabolism, they need to do 1 meal a day. It's a huge meal. And of course, you don't want to go below 1,000 calories. But the point is that some people need that. And if you think about an evolution, like when we didn't eat 3 meals a day, we probably had 1 or 2 and then or nothing for a few days. So this whole idea that we need 3 meals a day is kind of weird, or 6 meals a day. All right. Thanks, Jarrett. All right. Rose, you are from North Carolina. You are on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. So, hi, doctor.
Hi.
I've been watching your videos for quite a while now. I know you've touched on puffy eyes before and the fluid retention and so forth, but the shadowing and the darkness, that's really what just won't seem to budge. And I don't know when I started seeing it, but I notice it on everyone else around me as well. So I start to become very aware of it. And as I mentioned earlier, I do take a homeopathic drainage, lymphatic drops, and for a couple days it'll help, but I really try to watch my diet whenever possible, and I notice even when I eat a lot of vegetables, they just won't go away. So I'm not sure if it's congestion or what it is.
Okay. How is your sleep, Rose? What's your sleep like?
Okay, so I try to get anywhere between 7 and 9 typically.
Wow. Good. Do you feel well rested?
I don't, because I think there's a little issue of nocturia too now that may have something to do with it. Now that I think about it, I do wake up consistently for probably once for the last couple of years straight, and I do watch my sugars, I watch my fluid, I do all of that as well.
Okay. And do you have any adrenal kind of stress issues?
No, I don't think so, no. I mean, I've tried adrenal formulas, I've tried all that stuff, and it really doesn't make a difference. If anything, it actually increases the urination during the day for me.
Okay. All right. So let's just talk about that, Rose. So the dark circles underneath the eyes, that's usually a vitamin D deficiency. What I would do if I were you, and that could be also kidney. Kidney, it's like when you look at someone's eyes underneath it, it's like it really shows the kidney whether it's darkened or puffy. So if you were to do, you can take supplements, but right now it's summer, so start to get as much sun as you can and see if that doesn't clear it up, because that's really what you need. The second thing I'm going to recommend is the fact that you get that much sleep and you're still tired means that the quality of sleep, and probably because you're getting up urinating. So what that usually is the insulin problem, insulin resistance, which could also cause this too, because you see it a lot in diabetics. Not to say you have that, but you have one of the symptoms of that. So as far as watching your sugars, what I would do is I'd put you on a complete, really good, healthy eating plan, the ketogenic with intermittent fasting. That's what I have on my membership site. Go through that whole thing. And then you can start to focus on that a little bit more versus just watching sugars, but actually correcting it to the point where you can go the whole night without any urination. And then that way we know it's not, that's going to be healing, and it's going to reflect on the skin as well. So that's what I would do. And then the last thing I would do is I would start increasing high interval training exercise to the point where you can start to really spike the circulation and the growth hormone to help the collagen. That will help underneath the eyes as well. All right. Thanks, Rose. All right. Maylon, you're from Pennsylvania. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my call. The question I have is it possible to negatively affect my pH levels by drinking lemon juice and apple cider vinegar? The reason for the question is about a year ago I was doing this, as drinking lemon juice throughout the day with my water, as well as taking some apple cider vinegar in the morning. And then someone mentioned a concern about changing my body pH. They said if your urine pH becomes higher than the saliva pH, it increases the risk for heart disease and stroke. And so that is a question, and along with that, is tracking your saliva and urine pH reliable? And if it is, what time of the day would you test it, how frequently, and all of that?
Got it. Question. What is your urine pH?
About 6.
6, okay. All right.
And saliva is from 6.5 to 7. That's, that's first thing in the morning.
Okay. All right. Let's just talk about that. Each part of your body has a different pH. And whoever told you that if your pH is off like that, you're at risk for heart attack, I would always ask them, where did you hear that? Where did you see that? And then you personally look at that, because you got to be careful. So many people give you these opinions, and they're arbitrary. They're based on some opinion, but they're not based on fact. So especially on the net nowadays, you're going to see almost every single viewpoint. So you don't really know what's true, what's false. So I always ask, who told you that? And then you're going to find out, well, it was in Time Magazine, an article, and they don't really even know where it is. So I always find the source. It's not true. Your pH of the urine should range between 5 and 6.9, okay? If you're in the range, you're still good. Saliva should be slightly alkaline, so it should be between 6, 7, 7.5, okay? I don't like to use those as indicators because they're so far low on the list of a chain reaction that occurs. They're not going to tell you a direct cause and effect relationship, because you can have a pH problem that can stem from a million different things. So this is what I would, lemon does make your pH a little bit more alkaline, but it's very little bit, okay? It's not a big deal. Apple cider vinegar does acidify you, but not going to be out of the range. I think that there's absolutely no problem consuming a good amount of lemon juice through the day with apple cider vinegar at all. Use a straw. As long as you feel good and you're eating healthy, I would not worry about it. I consume a tremendous amount of lemon juice. I probably do like 4 ounces a day. And I do apple cider vinegar all day long too. The benefit of that is it helps give you the citrates to avoid kidney stones. So, and a lot of other benefits as well. So it's really good, especially if you're on a ketogenic diet. Okay, hope that gave you some data. All right, and by the way, if anyone wants to call, I forgot to mention the number, it's 866, it's toll free, 866-561-4292. All right? And go ahead and give us a call, and I may take your question. We just have a lot of calls. Okay, so we have Hewan from San Francisco. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
All my life, I've had all the symptoms of insulin resistance, and as aging, on top of all that, I got pains and aches and very stiffness, especially below my waistline and a little below that. But greatly thanks to your video, I think I'm on the right track to be healthy again. But I have a problem with my grandson, 14 months old. He is suffering from eczema and food allergies. I switched all his food to organic as I did to mine and all that. And I give him a little apple cider vinegar in his water and those green salads I blended in, put in his milk and let him drink it, and protein breakfast and all that, cheese, butter, and all that. Is this safe for 14 months old?
Yeah, but here's the question. You probably wouldn't need to give him the apple cider vinegar. But here's the question. Was the child breastfed?
No.
Okay.
He was on formula.
Okay. Did the formula have soy in it?
No, we tried it and it was the worst one. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, got it. All right. So what the problem with what your child is missing is colostrum, which is basically that first milk that builds up the immune system and then it makes the child weak. I would get the highest quality colostrum you can find and start giving it to him, because that's going to build up the immune system. It's going to help the allergies, and I take it. I mean, it's great for the immune system. I love it. It actually even increases growth hormone, so it helps. And it's anti-aging, but it's colostrum. It's in a powder. You mix it. You take it. You can give it to him anytime, but I take it before I go to bed. I mix it in some water, slug it down before I go to bed. So get a high-quality grass-fed if you can find it. But that's what you need to do. The next thing is to find some type of, infant probiotic that you can give him to start to build up the gut. 80% of your lymphatic system is in the gut, in the immune system. So it's down there. We want to build this up so it ends up with really, really nice skin. And then play around with the food allergies, because that's always the hardest part. Like, kids can be allergic to anything and then creating a skin reaction. And I think you have that under control. All right? Thanks. Victor from California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg.
Hey,
How are you?
Good.
So, my wife and I, we started a keto diet about 3 or 4 months ago, January. I was 319 pounds. I'm short and full-blown diabetic. I think my A1C was like over 12, triglycerides over 1,500, the whole deal. Since then, now my A1C dropped to about 6.5. Triglycerides is now at 132. Everything's just getting for the better, so I'm very glad about that. But my biggest issue, or not issue, but concerns, because I can't seem to find a clear answer on this, is I'm following keto by the book, and 20 grams max total. Not even, I don't do the net carb, I do total, just to be on the safe side. We've already implemented grass-fed food as much as we can, all the soy, all those bad oils we don't eat. But my question is, how do we know if we're getting the right amount of fat and protein? I've seen your videos, I've read other videos and forums and stuff like that, but when we have the MyFitnessPal app, and we have it set for 75% fat, 20 protein, 5% carbs. On the carb side, we don't care about the percentage. We just make sure it's under 20 max. But when it comes to protein and fat, sometimes we eat something and we realize that, the percentage on the protein is over 20%, but the grams seem too low.
Yeah.
I just have I don't understand if I'm doing it right. What if I'm losing muscle?
Yeah, I got it. Well, let me just kind of cover that, Victor. Okay, number one, with your protein, people always want to know how many grams of this, how many grams of that. Let me just kind of give you some guidelines because everyone was so different. And sometimes you have to play around. You need a little bit more or less. When you actually get a protein, only a portion of that is actual protein from food. Like let's say you had hamburger. You're not going to get, or like 100 grams of hamburger. You're only getting a portion of that protein. Some of it's fat, collagen. So the rule of thumb from food is to do 3 to 6 ounces of actual whole protein, okay? Play around. Maybe you need a little more, a little less, based on how you feel. But your body will adapt to, over time, either one of those. Especially if you're doing this, you're going to start protecting your own protein. So you're not going to break down protein that fast. As far as fats go, you don't have to go out of your way to consume a tremendous amount of fat once you're in ketosis because your body is starting to burn your own fat. And that's what we want, is to burn the reserve until you hit your goal. So, but at first you need more fat so you can go from one meal to the next because that will keep the insulin in check. So as far as fat, it's a variable thing. You want to not go out of your way to add more of it, but let's say in the meal, let's say you have a hamburger, don't get the lean, get the full thing. And you could do an avocado or do coconut as part of your meal or nuts or something like that. But yeah, you can start adding the keto bombs and things like that or some butter. But I'll do a video on this so you can get some examples because we're running out of time right now and I want to get one more call. But the other thing is it sounds like you're doing really good on your A1C. It's coming down to 6.5. So I think there is one thing that you can try. There's a new thing I just came out with. It's called Insulin and Glucose Support Formula. And I put 10 different seriously high nutrients in there to kind of heal the insulin resistance problem. That would probably take you even lower. So you might want to try that because that's something if you're doing everything right and you're kind of going down, but you're just still plateauing, you want to take it one step further, you may need something targeted to handle the insulin dysfunction. Okay? All right, I'm going to take, see how many more calls I can do in the last 3 minutes. Actually, the last 2 minutes, okay? Okay, Trish, I think it's Trisha? Trisha?
Trisha.
Trisha, hi Trisha. You're from Maryland.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I am. Good morning, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call. Yeah. Recently, I have found out that I have a lot of food allergies. I've taken like 3 different blood tests, and they've come back that I'm allergic to apples, corn, eggs, egg whites to be specific, spinach. I recently started looking at your videos, and I really wanted to get into, eating healthy. I know I'm addicted to sugar. I've had eczema. In your opinion, what's the best way for me? I'm obsessed with my belly fat. Want to lose that. So what is the best way to try to eat right? I don't feel comfortable with doing the apple cider vinegar and lemon because I've been told I'm allergic to apples and lemons. So I'm just finding it hard to figure out what I can eat, and saw your video where you talked about eggs was the best thing to have for breakfast while I'm allergic to eggs. So just finding a hard time trying to figure out what to eat for weight loss and just being healthy.
Yeah, you got a situation. I'm going to release a video shortly to detect a better allergy assessment, which basically uses your hair, which actually measures the T cell response to allergies, not necessarily the other immune factors for allergies. And I think it's a better test. But here's the thing: there's a great thing called allergy elimination. It's called Nabutra Allergy Elimination Technique, NAET. If you can find a practitioner in your area, maybe they can actually help you with certain allergies to the big stuff like the eggs. Of course, we want you to be allergic to corn because it's GMO. And we don't want you to eat apples because that's not going to help you lose weight. So the point is that I would start clearing out those allergies and do that. And then the other thing is, Tricia, go to my membership site, check all those items out. I give you a huge meal planner so you can kind of see what you can eat, what you can't. And you're probably going to eat, you have 5 foods that you can focus on. Well, right now, all you can do is eat those. But the main thing is try to do a ketogenic diet and not do any other things that are outside that. All right? For those of you that are still on, please call back next Friday. We're going to do another live interview, and I appreciate your questions. Thanks for listening this long. It's been an hour, and I will see you real soon. Okay? Have a great week.